Hello there, welcome to part 4 of You're Being Shaped. This is what I'm going to call these series of videos that I'm doing on the People Shapers by Vance Packard. And referring to the last video, I was talking about the left and right hemispheres of the brain and how they're responsible for different attributes. And I mentioned a gentleman in the last video who did a video called The Right Hand of God, because he was saying that how many years ago they used to tie, if you were left-handed, as I am, as I mentioned, they used to tie your hand behind your back when you were at school, when you were just a child, and force you to write with your right hand. And I was wondering, why would they go to that extraordinary effort to get you to write with your right hand? And we were reading here that the right hemisphere is responsible for creativity and intuition and things like that. And if you're left-handed, you're most likely to a right-brainer, and vice versa. If you're right-handed, you're a left-brainer. And they do say that the educational system is for left-brained people. That it's they're very logical, problem-solving, very I would suggest into the 5 sense reality. Which I think that's what this control system wants. People are easy to control that way, and many researchers spoke of this. David Icke spoke about that, how if you're very submerged into 5 sense reality, you can't think outside the box, as they say. And what if the being right brain, being creative and intuitive, is almost like a gateway into a deeper reality beyond the 5 sense reality, and therefore beyond this scientific control system that I'm talking about. Then it's a way out, which I think is pretty cool. That's what I want to do. I want to see a way out of this. So, interestingly, keeping that in mind, let's read back here again when they were saying scientists are now looking into the possibility of shifting the dominance from one hemisphere to the other. What hemisphere would they want to shift to? Would they want to shift you to a right-brainer or a left-brainer? I don't think they want too many right-brained people. You can call it whatever word you want, but perhaps being right-brained could be a gateway into what you call the paranormal, the spiritual realms, basically into a deeper level of reality beyond all this. So I thought I'd mention that. I won't go on too much, because we've got quite a lot to get through there. A lot of this is going to be on Delgado again, because I was reading about him, wasn't I? So, a few other people as well. So reading on, it says here, the first notable brain stimulator, Walter Hess, a Swiss, won a Nobel Prize largely for inserting an electrode by hand into an unconscious cat's brain. When the cat awakened, it wasn't particularly aware of the electrode, but when there was a mild electric stimulation, the cat went into a rage. The modern instrument guidance Delgado referred to is provided by a stereotaxic device that locks the head into place in relation to a metal arm holding the long needle to be inserted vertical and Vertical and lateral controls permit adjustment until the needle is aimed on target for its gentle thrust through a hole bored in the skull. The patient may be wholly conscious and does not feel pain as the shaft slowly moves through the brain. It says brain cells have no nerve endings except for some at the base of the brain. If the stimulation Delgado plans to administer is electric, the shaft is an exceedingly thin steel wire electrode coated with insulation except at the tip. Dozens of such needle-like wires may be inserted from one opening and can be attached to the same socket on top of the skull, or eventually inside it. If the stimulation is to be administered is chemical, the shaft is a kind of oversized hypodermic needle. Delgado has pioneered in the remote control of electrical stimulation. He began shaping the behaviour of subjects while he was in a nearby room manning a push-button radio device. Now he can do this from thousands of feet away. At first, the sockets he was using to receive radio messages were outside the scalp. Now the equipment, built under a microscope, is the size of a coin and can be planted under the scalp, and so is unnoticeable in a free-moving subject. Also, the device not only receives instructions, but broadcasts back the subject's reactions. Delgado calls it a transdermal stimo receiver. A very recent refinement, still being perfected, is for the information being received back from inside the brain to go to a tiny computer. This computer is being programmed to recognise abnormal brainwave activity. There is now the possibility of forestalling epileptic seizures. The epileptic would wear one of these computers either inside or outside his brain. The computer would recognise the beginning of an epileptic seizure in time to trigger a counterattack. This could be the electrical or chemical stimulation of the control organ in some part of the brain. Of a control organ in some part of the brain. Bear in mind this is 1978. This book was written in, and they already had a coin-sized device to be inserted, inside your brain or underneath the scalp. So that makes you think, doesn't it? Reading on, Delgado with his devices has produced learned behaviour changes completely independent of the five senses. Increasingly, Delgado has come to favour chemical stimulation over electrical stimulation in treating neurological problems. Electricity is a single tool, whereas chemicals come in thousands of varieties. His tiny electrochemical pumps, when activated by a radio signal, deliver minute quantities of chemicals to the targeted site. And he now has a twin shaft arrangement that enables him to withdraw fluid compounds deep inside the brain for analysis of changes created by the chemical stimulation. Meanwhile, scientists are trying to learn how information gets transmitted and stored in the brain. Others are trying to find out how behaviour can be shaped by drugs, then reach the brain via the bloodstream, whether they are taken orally or by injection. Your brain is literally awash with blood. It requires 10 times as much blood per square inch as the rest of your body. In the past 20 years, hundreds of drugs that can be used to alter mood or shape behaviour have become available, and many more are on the way. These psychotropic drugs can steam you up, calm you down, make you gloomy or gay, make you weep, throw you into a talking spree, make you docile, make you promiscuous, befuddle you or immobilise you, make you think you can walk through roaring traffic without getting hurt. Some scientists are so confident of the manipulative powers of the new drugs, they are making startling statements. So again, this is 1978. Imagine what they can do now. Then they were referring to chemicals being better than electric shock. And then in the 70s you had LSD, didn't you, and other drugs like that, and you had a lot of lobotomies going on and things like that, and with all the chemical drugs, it's almost like they really were pushing for Aldous Huxley's Soma and A Brave New World. But you have to really think about cybernetics, how advanced the computers come, how much information we can fit into a chip. So I would say that that's more significant than chemicals now. Says here in this section, turning on aggressiveness or passivism. Passivism, yeah. A number of years ago, Delgado began mapping brain areas which, if electrically stimulated, cause quarrelsome animals to turn into placid ones. Normally, ferocious rhesus monkeys would let him fondle their mouths without biting him when a certain area of the brain was stimulated, and under stimulation a cat was induced to cringe from a mouse. Delgado's most famous experiments involved inhibiting aggression in brave bulls. One of the experiments was filmed. A brave bull's head was rigged for a brave bull's head was rigged for radio-triggered electric stimulation of the caudate nucleus. I don't think I've pronounced that right, but it was he's basically targeting a specific area of the brain. Delgado stood facing the animal. The bull went into its charge. As the bull went into its charge, he pushed the button. The bull skidded to a stop and walked away. This response was repeated a number of times. After several stimulations, the bull permitted investigators into the ring without charging them. What had happened? According to Delgado, it was a combination of motor effect, forcing the bull to turn to one side, plus behavioural inhibition of the aggressive drive. Elliot S. Wallenstein, a psychologist at the University of Michigan, who saw the film, suggested that the stimulation may not have really tamed the bull, but may have merely inhibited his motor activity by activating a neural pathway controlling movement. In any case, a dramatic behavioural change occurred after Delgado pushed the button. And let's read on more about Delgado in part 5.